be talking specifically about the green skills for the building services engineering sector. As we've already heard from the previous presentation, building technologies are going to have a vital role to play in terms of delivering the green targets that the government has set. And in the one of the previous slides, it was actually the second largest contributor to the delivery of those green targets. Specifically, the building services engineering sector covers the skills relating to electrotechnical, plumbing, heating and vent, air conditioning, and also consultancy and plumbing. Environmental technologies are really not new skills for our sector, but are very much about adding to the existing skills. And the sector has a significant role to play, not only in terms of emissions reduction, lowering energy consumption, but also then conserving water as well. If we specifically look at who's involved in the development of these skills and standards, we can see that there are a number of parties, whether it be from government departments setting the targets, the employers themselves, manufacturers and trade associations, as well as obviously then ourselves in terms of setting occupational standards, working with the qualifications and awarding bodies. So potentially it can actually end up as being quite a complex and a confusing marketplace there. However, the bottom line is the fact that the targets need to be met unless the sector really delivers the design, the installation, the maintenance of the new environmental technologies that are going to be required. We're not going to meet the targets that have been set. And in addition to that, then it's also providing best advice to the customer. It's the professional who is working for the customer that often the customer seeks as the first point of advice about the appropriate technology to use in their building. We can see there's really quite a high challenge ahead for the employers to actually have the right skills that are available. And if we look here, as we've already talked about, there are some key drivers that you're already aware of. So it is quite a complex arena and pressure is building. One of the most important is the EU directive, which really is now setting the pace for this. And even though we currently don't have legislation specifically in the UK, that will happen in time and start to set then a more level playing field. Particularly in terms of building the environmental technologies for the building services engineering sector, if we specifically look at what are the new technologies that are going to be happening, as you can see there is a vast arena. However, this is not going to happen all at once. And even though we have a significant number of technologies, we can see that in the short term, the key new technologies that are going to go for growth will be about solar, photovoltaics, heat pumps and water recycling. And in these areas then the competencies particularly add to the existing skills that employers and installers have already been trained in. As we can see then, some of the challenges are quite significant, and really it's now looking to see how skills can provide the opportunity. Green skills will provide a profitable opportunity for businesses, and it's important that installers, small businesses and also large businesses have the skills needed for when the demand comes, as we kick-start the demand over the next few years. What I'd like to do now is talk about some of the processes and the activities that as a Sector Skills Council we've specifically been involved in, and also some of our plans for the future. As you can see here, a lot of work has already been happening, particularly in terms of the development of the National Occupational Standards, and we're now taking those through to the qualification development for the sector to fill up the qualification and curriculum framework ready for this September. So we're working very closely with the awarding bodies to actually develop the qualification units and then make those available to the training bodies so that people can actually be trained and skills development can really start in this area. We have over the last 3 years in particular, as part of our sector skills agreement work, undertaken a large amount of research with employers to really identify what is going to be needed, not only in terms of the types of training specifically to deliver the environmental technologies, but also in what format that training needs to take place. And here you can see on this slide, the actual content of the training is quite extensive. Particularly ranging not only from knowledge about the technologies, but also then being in best placed to provide advice to customers, specifically for their individual location, their individual building, etc. And then linking that to future innovation and development. Employers are also quite vocal about the fact that it's important to have the training readily accessible, also making it progressive, ready for now, and also taking account of what happens in the future. We mustn't have a lag between training being available for the new technologies when they come out. It's got to be there. It's also got to be quality focused and really meet the specific requirements of customers in the marketplace. So if we look at how many people then need to be trained, in our sector we typically have 500,000 employers who are working. And if you look at that over the next few years, on average about 60% of those are going to need some training in the environmental technologies, ranging from awareness through to installation, design, and then through to commissioning, repair and maintenance. So it's quite significant. And it's not just training in one technology, because as time moves on, they will probably need to have the ability to advise and design different technologies to actually fit the requirements of individual buildings to really optimise the opportunities that are going to be available. So we can see then that the requirement for the training, probably of the order of 300,000 people in the next 2 to 3 years, is quite significant. If we now look at the key steps that are happening in terms of preparing for the future, obviously it's very much about developing the national occupational standards which have been put in place. These are now forming the foundation to the new qualification units. It's then really going to be working with working with the training providers and the awarding bodies to put those units within the current apprenticeship frameworks, and also then providing continual professional development units for people who are currently working in the sector to get upskilled as is going to be needed. To support that, then, is making sure that there is an appropriate infrastructure. An infrastructure to provide funding for employers to easily access the training, and also to make sure that those qualifications are really fit for purpose, as well as then working with the providers and the trainers and the partners to actually make that training available in easily accessed and quality units. This slide just provides an overview of the current work in terms of the development of the qualification units. They really fit into 3 areas. The first one is very much providing an overview and understanding of the environmental technologies. From there, it's then providing both theory and practical advice and training in the installation, the commissioning and also the handover of the different types of technologies. We then see that a different area would be very much about providing the support for repair and maintenance once the technologies are fitted to buildings. So it's to do really with their in-life use. So what are obviously the immediate priorities? As you can see, there is a significant number here. It's really about providing a coordinated and coherent strategy, really putting those qualifications in place, and then kick-starting the demand so that the employers can see that there is a business opportunity, want to to partake of the training, and that then follows through to them actually then delivering and being requested by customers to put the installations on buildings. So it's quite a complex maze. As we've shown, then the environment has offered a real challenge, and potentially then as we move forward, skills can be a significant part of that solution. This real challenge in terms of getting the right number of people trained in a very short space of time has actually been recognised by the government in their agreement to support the development of a National Skills Academy now for environmental technologies. We were very aware that really the throughput of people being trained in the number of technologies that is going to be needed in a short space of time will not happen unless we have coordination here, unless we have leadership here. And this is where now the government is supporting the development of a National Skills Academy for Environmental Technologies, which we are actively now working to develop the business plan for and put in place over the next 6 months. As you can see here, some of the problems that have really been identified by employers in our sector are very much about confusion, disjointed provision currently, not knowing which provision to go for, not sure as to what standard it meets. And so, therefore, through the National Skills Academy, hopefully then we will have a way to really revolutionise this way of coordinating quite a complex arena so that we can make all the technologies, training for all the technologies available at the right time. It's really being upfront so that it's very much in time with how the technologies are being used and developed in the marketplace. And also we can make sure that the infrastructure for the training is very localised so that business kids can partake of that training alongside their normal, obviously, day-to-day occupations. The proposal is very much to have a structure which is demand-driven, quality-focused. Quality is important so that we make sure that those people who are trained are to a recognised standard and to a recognised level. And also making sure that it is accessible and recognised so that people will then get the necessary qualifications that can be recognised not only by, for example, the microgeneration certification scheme, so therefore they get access to grants and funding for the use with new equipment, but also then recognised for their future competence development as well. Currently, the business model that we have proposed and what the employers want and have been very vocal in telling us about is a small central hub, and then really a hub and spoke model where we have lead hubs providing the training in regions across England, and then they working with other providers to get localised support and development in terms of not only the technologies that we are leading now, but also the future technologies, and making sure that that provision is really quality focused. In the development of the proposal for the Skills Academy over the last 2 months, we have been quite amazed by the support not only from employers across the sector but also key stakeholders who see that this is a real opportunity and is also meeting a key need. And as you can see here, there's quite a large range of companies who are working with us now to develop up and really get an active business plan working. Businesses and employers really see an opportunity for the use and involvement in environmental technologies, not only in terms of making their businesses more competitive, but also by having the appropriate training. Then they can really optimise what they can deliver so that then it can make them more efficient and more price conscious in terms of the jobs that they do offer, and also the profitability of that business. And that is fundamental as we move forward. Thank you very much.